Hey everybody, this is Jonathan Koger on my series 40 Days of Fasting and Prayer. And today we're still moving on. We're still in the fight. Yesterday I felt like I was out on my feet. If you ever seen a fighter out on his feet, it's a time a lot of opponents will go in for the kill. And a fighter's still dangerous when he's out on his feet because you never know what random punch or jab or our movie's going to make. He might be a little wobbly. He might be a little phased, but he's still dangerous. And that's where I'm at. I still have the determination. I still definitely have the drive. I'm just a little bit weaker right now. I forgot to weigh myself this morning, but I'm sure I'm around 193, which was what I was yesterday. Day 31, 10 more days counting this one. It'll be June 7th at midnight. Well, June 8th going into midnight. That'll be the completion of the 40th day. I'm excited about that. I've really wanted to quit TAP. I've really wanted to give up. But what can I do? You know, I'm so close. I'm struggling. These thoughts are going through my mind, and this is not something that people talk about on YouTube or in everyday life, but I'm just going to be real with you. On the 31st day last night, I was laying in bed and I was thinking about eating raw meat. And it was a series of like 10 minutes. These thoughts of me eating raw meat were just going through my head. Like raw, like straight out of the carcass raw. I mean, and it affected me. I was like, I've never ever has that ever sounded good. I've always liked my steak, medium well. Just, I don't like a lot of blood. I like the juice. I like it moist. If it's a different type of cut, more of a rare cut, that's fine. But I typically don't like blood pouring out of my meat. But last night I was just like, I could see myself just picking up blood dripping meat and eating it. I know that's disgusting. All right. And I'm like, I was blown away. It troubled me. I started praying immediately. And so that's where I'm at. I'm really craving meat. And I think I'm going to do this carnivore kind of keto diet after my week of indulgence. I think I'll have a week or two or three or a whole month of indulgence. I don't know. But I'm not fasting for a while after this. But want to talk a little bit about fasting, about sacrifice. Of course, we have the three men in the Bible, perhaps, and maybe arguably the three most powerfully anointed men in the Bible. Of course, we got to put Jesus as number one, even though he comes later. He still came first. And then there's Moses and Elijah. You got the law, you got the prophets, and you got the Messiah. The three that have fulfilled 40 days of fasting. And that in itself is powerful, but even in situations where you're not willingly giving that sacrifice, I think there's still power in that. Why don't you lay down, bro? Lay down. You're tapping around with your little tap shoes. Sorry, I got the back door open and he just wants to circle around. But, in the case of Job, his affliction came upon, his whole life, but it eventually came down to his body. And when Satan incited God against Job, Um, and God allowed Satan to take everything away from Job except for, his wife. He said, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And John the Baptist said this, every good thing comes from above. So you got to remember two things. God gives and he takes away. And another thing Job says is should we receive the blessings of God, but not receive the adversity? God is trying to prove something to the whole universe, to the spiritual realm, that Job is upright and righteous. And two things Job didn't do. He didn't sin. A lot of people just throw in the towel. They raise up the white flag. I can't take this. And they willingly plunge into sin. And another thing is to charge God foolishly. We've got a lot of blame going around this world, and people are blaming God. People, human beings, we are the problem. We're making ourselves sick. We're tearing up this earth. We're doing most of the things that we do wrong, and if it's not us, it's our leaders, and we are allowing them to do it by playing into their political games. They're passing laws and we're just snoozing, watching our sitcoms. I mean, we are to blame. There's a lot of things going on in this world that ain't right. It's evil. It's evil. And we're paying the price. But we can't say, why is God allowing this to happen? He's given us dominion and charge over this earth. He's watching us. Our management of this earth is ours to manage. Why are we blaming him for our mismanagement? So I would say never, ever, ever charge God foolishly. And I can't tell you that I never have. I've been a fool. I've said some things that I pray God has erased from time and space, and all I can do is offer my worship and praise and just try to make everything right, wash it all underneath the blood. But Satan said this the second time around. We don't know how long Job went without everything before Satan was allowed to touch his body, his flesh and his bone. We hear about the boils, but we don't hear about the aches and the torment in the bones. And he said, skin for skin, a man will give all that he has to save his life. So when you sacrifice on an extended fast and you show God you're willing to give your life, you're willing to put yourself at risk, this skin isn't as important. Satan was sure Job would curse God if he touched his skin. And we need to be disciplined to a place where we can worship. And I've preached a message. I forget the title of it. If I could find it, I'll put a link in the description. But your most powerful worship is going to be during your adversity. It's like when God told Abraham, take your son, the son I promised you, your beloved son, from your beloved wife, and I want you to take him up to that mountain. I want you to sacrifice him like a lamb, like an animal. I want you to cut him up and light him on fire. Let that sink in. And you got a man that's willing to obey, And of course, God provided a lamb. There's another really good song about that. I'll put a link in the description. But when Abraham heard this, he gathered up, the sticks. He gathered up his boy and he went to the mountain to worship. And so it's very good to worship during your adversity. If your life's peachy keen all the time, you need some adversity to be strong. An easy life makes weak men. It really does. But anyway, I encourage you to fast. I encourage you to sacrifice. I encourage you to show God that he is everything above your belongings and even above this flesh. And again, fasting is healing. Your body's going to devour cancer cells and destroy damaged cells, and it's going to regenerate new cells. And yeah, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. And that's the point. Didn't Jesus say, take up your cross and follow me? Jesus Christ walked the Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering. You know, through suffering, he showed that he loved us. He bore our burdens. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. By his stripes, we are healed. And there's no greater love than a man lay down his life for another. And in fasting, you know, you are physically dying. You really are laying down your life. And I had an interaction with my neighbor yesterday, Mark, and he said, "Are you fasting for me?" He's the only person in this 40-day fast that has asked me to fast for him. And so I'm fasting today for Mark and his family. I'm fasting for his welfare, for his health. I know he's getting older. He's maybe late 60s, 70s, I'm not sure. But, you know, we want longevity of life. We want mental clarity. We want strength in his body. And so today I'm fasting for Mark. And I think if we could just collectively unify, pray, and fast for each other, I think it would be pretty awesome. I think we would see some absolute awesome effects in our life. Of course, life is designed to keep you busy and keep you in an automated mode in your mind. And there's so many things to distract you. And if anyone is the king of distraction, it's Satan. He'll distract you from everything that you're trying to do. And so you got to stay focused when you fast. You know, what are you going to do when you fast? How are you going to fast? I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but I'm going to, because I'm a little bit of a rebel. But okay, I've gone 31 days without food. I've gone 31 days only drinking water. I've gone 31 days only listening to worship music. I've got 31 days abstaining. You know, so those things pile up. You know, they definitely help you to flourish within being consecrated. And so what is your fast going to be like? I mean, some people are, I'm going to fast from candy bars. I mean, that's all right. But like, what are you going to do on your fast? Some people fast from technology, and you may think that that's not a good fast, but it really is. It'll clarify your mind. It'll help you to focus. It's hard. But there are different things that you can fast from. You know, like I said on the other video, Daniel fasted. He didn't anoint his head with oil. What that means, I believe, and I could be wrong always, is he didn't freshen up. You know, back then they didn't have showers and baths. They anointed themselves with fresh oil. The Romans did it too. They would anoint themselves with oil and scrape off the dead skin. I know that's just too much detail. But yeah, he didn't even freshen up. He didn't smell good. He didn't, some commentaries say he didn't even comb his hair. A lot of people won't shave or cut their hair, like the Nazirite vow. So what fast are you thinking about? You know, get it in the back of your mind. Let it brew there. Don't let it sit there too long, because just like something on the stove, if you have it there too long, it's going to be no good. You know, let something birth in you. I mean, Let something conceive in you and give birth to it. Don't let it be conceived in you and die. That's a miscarriage in the spirit. And it's so sad when we have the idea or the divine direction to do something. We just throw it in the backyard and forget about it. You know, at some point you got to take time, you got to plan it out, and you got to do it. And so I'm really pushing for you this episode to sacrifice that flesh. Prove the devil wrong when he says a man will give all that he has for his life. When you take your life and you sacrifice it. How awesome is that? Anyway, I encourage you to keep praying. Keep praying for me. I'll keep praying for you. If you need me to fast for anything, put it down in the comments. Thank you for following, liking, subscribing, and sharing. And I hope the documentation of my experience so far is something that is useful in your life. I'll see you guys later, and God bless.